looking to throw it, and he's got the touchdown! Here's Brady's pass. It's Gronkowski! Oh, Max strips it! He is unbelievable!
Another one in the books, and boy, was this a good week. There was a lot of upsets, a lot of teams you didn't think were going to win and just came out and were winning, and then some teams that lost and you just kind of knew, like, this team had it coming. Welcome back to the Tabor Gridiron podcast. I'm Isaac, here with my dad, Steven, and we have a lot to talk about this week.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun time here, Isaac, talking about and breaking down this week and looking forward to, it's basically half the season's over.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
I know. I
right?
feel like it just started.
Yeah, it is. Don't forget to like us, follow us wherever you get your podcasts, and you can send us an email, taborgridiron@gmail.com, and comment on the Podbean app. What do you got today, Isaac?
So I think, and I know much to your dismay, the Jets did beat the Bills, and that's a fact now. And I thought we could just break that down a little bit.
Well, am I going for Buffalo? Do I think they're a good team? Absolutely. Teams are going to win, teams are going to lose. That's the NFL. That's why we watch the NFL. Mm-hmm. The Eagles, which we'll talk about a little bit later, still undefeated. They're going to have their flop at some point. Mm-hmm. I think sooner than later is better so that you can learn to be able to recover from that. You're always going to have those ups and downs. Mm-hmm. And the odds of having, the perfect season and going undefeated is really slim. It's sports, it's football. So I think, what is going to help the Eagles grow as a team and as an organization and help them learn from how they're performing right now is taking that loss. And sometimes one loss leads to two losses,
exactly,
leads to a couple more, and that may happen. And I still think the Eagles are a good team that way. So that being said, Bills, same way. You're going to win games, you're going to lose games. I think, though, we've been talking about the Jets and how they've been stepping up.
I know, right?
Yeah. And they really came out and they battled. They got a couple turnovers. Like, they fought hard against the Bills.
They did fight hard, and it was a really clean win. And at first I thought, I just looked at the score and I was like, whoa, the Jets are insane. And then once I got into a little bit more of the statistics and stuff, we did realize that Josh Allen did have an elbow injury, and he was playing with that. So I think that also kind of faltered his play style a little bit, and he wasn't playing at 100%. But still, Zach Wilson and Sauce Gardner was on fire. He was getting so many touchdowns. They were just kind of like, you often see quarterbacks and receivers, they have like that dynamic duo. This is the one for the Jets, and it was really awesome to see.
I think there's a lot of talk, of Josh Allen's injury. What's the extent of that? What is that really going to look like? I don't know. Yes, does that play a part? I really want to give this to the Jets. Yeah. I think they really stepped up, and they really fought hard. And they're right in there. I mean, the Bills are 6-2. They're 6-3. The Jets, they're right in that division, in that league where anything can happen. Mm-hmm. And it's definitely, we got to keep talking about the Jets.
We do. And honestly, that division has been succeeding, and they've been doing really well. But I know a division that hasn't been. The NFC South has been struggling. They have been falling apart. The Falcons have been actually doing pretty well because the teams that were usually in the bottom half are actually succeeding now. But the Buccaneers, they are...
Yeah, I mean, the entire division is just kind of awful right now.
Yeah.
And then the struggles that Tom Brady is having, and yet the Buccaneers are at the top of the division right now.
I know, right?
What's the odds of that? You got Tom having I don't want to say a horrible year. The whole team is just struggling. He's not playing at the top of his game, and yet they're leading that division. That should have been a division that everybody could have been looking at going like, hey, Tom Brady's struggling. Let's just run with this. And yet that whole division is just falling apart.
One by
what
one.
Are the odds of that even happening? Speaking of Tom Brady, you got to talk about Tom Brady. I mean, Tom, he's been in the league for a long time. Mm-hmm. And it is actually kind of cool. He surpassed 100,000.
Wow.
100,000 passing yards, including the playoffs. So his whole career, regular season, playoffs, which is just crazy. That's average, people are saying, looking it up, it's about 57 miles of throwing the football.
Wow.
I
That's
mean,
crazy.
It is crazy. I mean, I've been watching Tom since I was a kid, so he's been in the league like forever. But that still is a pretty impressive stat.
It is a very impressive stat. And whether you like Tom Brady or you don't like him, because there's a mixed feeling about that around the world, but he is still just a great quarterback. Like, you can't deny that. He is just so good. He's been here for so long, so he knows basically everything. I mean, obviously there's still things you can learn, but there's not much more he can learn at this point. But he has been struggling. I've been feeling kind of bad for him. Personally, I think he should have retired. He could have been hanging out with Gronk, but no, he didn't. He kept playing.
I mean, even with his struggles, they won this game, but it still is pretty impressive. I mean, he threw the ball 58 times.
Wow.
In this game.
I didn't know that. That's
like,
nice.
Right. The fact that he still is slinging the ball that much and still is able to do that is, again, just really impressive. So whether you do like him or not, what he's able to do on the football field continues to do. The records that are broken that we're not going to see broken for a long time because he's just, no offense, a dinosaur in the league right now. And it's crazy. And speaking of throwing the football, I was watching that Chiefs game. Chiefs-Titans. Titans almost took
they
that.
did.
They gave the Chiefs a run for their money. And I think exposed a couple weaknesses of the Chiefs. But Patrick Mahomes threw the ball 68 times. Like, that is just crazy in a game.
It is.
I don't know if that's just really bad about your running game, which did struggle, but I that's a lot. I mean, to be relying on your quarterback to almost be throwing the ball 70 times it's cool, it's impressive, but you got to get a little balance between your run game and your pass game.
They do, and that is something that most teams need to have done, because if you don't have the balance in between there, you're going to be relying on one or the other. And we can't have that because you need to have those RPOs, which are able to kind of fluctuate between both the run and the pass. And so I think the Chiefs are doing pretty well. I mean, I'm impressed with Patrick Mahomes. I think they did struggle for a while. In fact, like last year to this year, there was just this kind of roadblock for them, and I couldn't really see them getting over it. But now they kind of jumped the hurdle, and they're doing pretty well now.
Then you flip over to different styles of quarterbacks for sure and different struggling teams, but you have to bring the Bears up again this week in the sense of the style of play and how good Justin Fields is doing right now.
He is insane.
Now the Bears are giving everything away. They're selling everybody. They're just
rebuilding,
making all their trades and rebuilding. Right, the goal is to rebuild, grow Justin Fields. These last 2 weeks, if they would have had their defense, which again is confusing. I know you can look at it and be like, man, we gave away Khalil Mack. We gave away Hakeem Hicks. We gave away Roquan Smith over the last couple of years of just, we're trading these people, trying to get our draft picks and whatnot. But these are all people that we gave draft picks away to get and paid to get and kind of built. And you can look around the league where all these guys have gone and they're succeeding. And you're like, oh, it would be cool to have one of those guys. Well, we had all three of those guys.
Exactly.
It's, and now we're in hopes to rebuild to get better guys. I don't know. That's a really hard ask. It'll be interesting to see how the Bears form around that and what they do create. If the Bears had a decent defense right now, these last two games, the way that Justin has been playing, they had, and they might have, probably could have won those last two games. But Justin Fields, I mean, he only threw the ball. You can contrast here Patrick Mahomes. He only threw the ball 28 times, only had 17 completions, 123 yards.
Yeah.
But he ran the ball like crazy.
178 rush yards. That is just an incredible stat in and of itself. And 4 touchdowns rushing. He actually broke a record.
Well, I think he had one rushing, right? And then threw 3 of them.
Yeah, that's how it was, yeah.
But broke a record. Like,
honestly, yeah. He broke the record for the most rush yards in a game. And the record was held by Michael Vick, and his was 173, which was pretty impressive in and of itself. But for the Bears, I'm like, this is just crazy. Like, you never really think of the Bears having anything to brag about. I mean, yeah, they had, like, back in the day with, like, the one guy, George Halas, and they had that kind of going for them. But now we got Justin Fields breaking records.
For a quarterback, for the Bears to have a quarterback breaking any kind of records is impressive. Absolutely. And Michael Vick was off the charts. That was way back in 2002.
Really?
He was fantastic and run. I mean, he was a running quarterback and was just all over the place. People didn't know what to do with him and how to control him, which again is somebody like Lamar Jackson. But the fact that Fields, one, though, he's running for his life half the time.
Probably.
So we need to work on that. Like, they need to be able to surround him and help him so that he's not just having to make something happen. Some of the designed runs are well thought out and well planned. Again, I'm not a big fan of that because your quarterback can get hit, can get hurt. But right now, the Bears are struggling so much just as a whole that he is just carrying everybody on his shoulders. I hope they get him help and develop the team quickly because he's proving how good he is and how good he can be, that I don't want to see him just go somewhere else.
Exactly.
And then succeed. Like, the Bears need to realize, like, hey, we got a guy that can play. He can play different than our style is, and how different than how our style has been. Well, let's create around that. Rather than lose the guy, like, let's build around him, like these other teams are doing and realizing. And I think the Bears could be contenders in the next couple of years, especially if we continue to see this type of growth with Justin Fields.
100%. And if we can see that kind of growth with Justin Fields, that would be great, because if we would trade away Justin Fields, the odds of getting someone better or even just at his level is pretty slim. That's the thing I haven't been 100% on board with Ryan Poles, just getting rid of everybody and hoping we're going to get someone better or at the same level. And I'm not sure that's the wisest move, because if you already have something that's good, why throw it away to try to get something better or at the same level? Like, why not just keep that? You'll save some money, save some trades, and you'll still be succeeding. And I think there are some players that need to go. I think there were some changes that needed to be made. Robert Quinn, he's kind of an older guy, and he's been in the league for a while. He's a veteran. So after thinking about that for a while, I thought maybe that's not the baddest decision to do. But the Roquan Smith one was not a good decision to do, because he's already leading the league in tackles, and that's like a stat that you really want, and they just throw him away.
Well, and then you watch him play on the Ravens.
Exactly.
And he basically, all the highlights of the defense of the Ravens was Roquan Smith. Like, what in the, like, he just continued doing what he has been doing. And right, that's hard, because you watch him on the Ravens, you're like, if we had a guy like that, that would really help.
But
on my team. Or, I mean, how many people are watching him just going like, oh man, if our defense had him. And then the Bears are sitting there going like, yeah, we had him, but we gave him away. I don't know. It is hard. Again, we'll see. What kind of rebuild are they going to be able to do? They got another receiver for Fields. That's going to help. I don't know. Bears are struggling. We've been talking about them. I think that's enough on the Bears.
Yep.
And we'll bring them up again if they continue to succeed.
For sure.
I think that you're going to see highlights and you're going to see growth from Justin Fields, and that is what's going to be fun to watch and around the league and seeing what's happening and what's going on. Aaron Rodgers on the flip side, I don't even know what to say. They got beat by the Lions.
They are beyond the deep end. They've fallen off. I'm sorry. Like, I know a lot of people who really like the Packers and who think they're doing so well and they love Aaron Rodgers. But how can you just keep... I'm sorry. There's just no way you can support the Packers right now. They are a mess. They lost Devontae Adams. Aaron Rodgers is not succeeding. He's probably doing worse than Tom Brady. Well, Tom Brady had such a high standard that him coming down low is kind of more of a shock. But Aaron Rodgers is still not doing well. The team is falling apart to the Lions. The Lions were historically bad last season, and they're doing a little bit better right now, but not by any leaps and bounds. And I was just in shock. I'm sorry for the Packers fans out there who have to try to support Aaron Rodgers as he's struggling in such a way.
Yeah, I agree. It's an interesting thing to see some of these, again, veteran quarterbacks kind of struggling, but then cool to see some of these new guys step it up. Justin Fields, Jalen Hurts. Eagles are undefeated, like I said earlier. I don't hope that they lose or wish that they lose, but they're going to really at some point. And so I don't want to say like just get it out of the way. I think that is just going to be the true test of their maturity and their growing as a team. And to go, okay, like we're flying high, we're just plowing through teams right now. Anything can happen in the NFL. You look at their schedule, it looks pretty easy, but again, anything can happen. And I don't want to say like anticipate that, but just
keep that in mind.
That loss is going to happen at some point, and then grow from that.
Exactly.
Get over that and become the better team and learn from that. And I feel like I would rather them lose sooner than later rather than getting closer and closer to the playoffs.
Exactly.
You're undefeated, and then you lose a game or
that's
2 games.
I
feel like that's going to really deflate them, and then they're going to have a bigger hurdle to get over to succeed in the playoffs. Whereas now you lose a couple games and you get all that out of the way, you rebuild, you get over those hurdles. I feel like they then can continue to succeed. But watching Jalen Hurts play, it's just been a lot of fun.
It has been a lot of fun. I've been excited to see their team succeed because they have won a Super Bowl in my lifetime. So I've seen them do really well, and it's exciting to see them come back and do really well. And I agree with what you're saying about the loss. I think it's nice to do that because the higher you get, the bigger the fall. And if they're able to get it over with now, they're probably going to be able to rebuild back and be able to be a really good playoff contender. So I'm excited to see what the Eagles have in store, and a lot of these other younger teams who are doing really well and with these young talents. And I'm excited to see where this league's going.
And again, they have an easier schedule.
Yeah, that's true.
And they've had kind of that easy schedule. I know early on we were talking about that, but I really like what I'm seeing. I think that this has really given them the confidence really that they've needed in watching them play. And they're playing good football in all 3 phases. In the offense, defense, special teams, even just with passing and running the ball. The running game has been doing good. Yeah, Jalen's running around and stuff as well. Not as much as other people, which has been good. He's making the plays he needs to play. He's throwing the ball really well. Miles Sanders had almost 100 yards rushing, which is, just having that the running game to rely on, unlike the Chiefs, where you don't have to be throwing the ball so much and you're able to kind of have that balance a little bit. The passing game's doing good. A.J. Brown stepping up. I think having good receivers, having defense that's playing well. I think just overall as a whole, the Eagles are doing good. All the new coaching staff and just everything in the organization that is kind of young and new and really figuring things out. I'm impressed with the Eagles, and I think that they are going to go far as long as they don't win the Super Bowl. No, 100%. I mean, cool if they do, but I think it's the Bills' year. It's got to be the Bills' year. It's happening, and it's happening.
It might be happening. I'm not sure. I'm still with the Saints, but I'm going to be happy if they even make it into the playoffs.
The Saints are even going to make the playoffs.
I know, but still, I mean, I have faith. And I don't know. I mean, they're only one game from being the top in the NFC South, which is already a pretty
But the problem is the quarterback issue.
It is,
when you're... I don't know. Even if Jameis Winston was in right now, I just don't know that they have enough firepower and enough consistency and enough leadership in the quarterback area to... I don't know. Stranger things have happened.
Yes.
The defense can really step up.
Cam Jordan.
They really can start dominating teams. If you're going to ask me, I really think that the Buccaneers are going to take that division.
I think so, too.
And we're going to see Tom Brady in the playoffs again. But stranger things have happened.
You never know. And so it's always about keeping the hope up there. And you never know with football. I mean, that's why we watch it, because things can look like they're going one way and just completely do a 360 and go the other way. A 180.
I mean,
that's
hey,
what I meant.
the Bears can win the Super Bowl, right?
Honestly,
yeah, that's probably not happening. But
Hopefully
You never know. Anyway, like us, follow us wherever you get your podcast. Share us. That's the best for us. If you're able to pass along to friends and family, comment on the Podbean app or send us an email anytime. TaborGridiron@gmail.com.
We'll see you next time.